Hello and welcome to episode 4 in season 1 of the Bookbreakrs podcast. We don't know if we're going to be commissioning season 2 yet, based on based on traction to date. Looking at the viewer count on the 3 pods we've done so far, it seems like a lot of people's internet is down, and they haven't been able
to. not just mine.
They haven't been able to get to it yet. But yeah, welcome to episode 4. I'm joined by the fountains of reason as ever, Paul and Enda. Right, lads.
Buongiorno.
Bonjour.
What's up?
And today Enda watched American Pie last night or something, so he may
partying like it's 1999, baby.
There you go. So this week we're going to be talking about who's going to make the top 4 in the Premier League, or who the 2 lads think are going to make the top 4 in the Premier League. So we'll look at Enda's picks to start off with. Then we'll have a quick look at the private league that the 2 of us are, or the 3 of us have going at the minute. And it was a bit of a shocker last night in terms of the Burnley results. It's changed things around a lot. Then we look at Paul's picks, and we'll have a debate then at the end just to see, if we can agree on who's making the top 4. So, Enda, we'll jump to you. Do you want to give us your views?
Yeah, well, anyway, I have it all drawn out here, so pardon me if I'm looking away from the screen, because it is actually very finely balanced. Thank God for the race for the top 4, because the league itself is very boring. City and United seem to be, I won't say way ahead, but they're way ahead in points anyway. Right, so I obviously, given that it's so finely balanced, you have to draw it out nearly. So what I did was I did West Ham, the four teams. First of all, I did 4 teams that were realistically in with it, and then Everton won. Yes, was it yesterday or the day before? Yesterday, I think, and that put them in it, because if they win all their games, that puts them on 66 points, and that's in around 4th, right? So from perspective of, they seem to be like, you're looking at the top 4, maybe 5 on the table, and you forget about the rest. Can't really forget about Everton. So I have West Ham on 58 points. So the way I see it, they'll draw with Brighton, beat West Ham, beat Southampton, end up with 65. Really bad goal difference. That'll count against them. Okay, Leicester on 63. As far as I'm concerned, they're gone. 0 United. They're playing Man United, Chelsea, and Spurs. There's a chance they'll lose all 3. I think they might get a draw against Spurs on the final day. That puts them on 64 points. If they win, it's 66 points. I don't see them beating Man United or Chelsea.
You are aware, obviously, the United are playing 3 games in the space of 5 days. So there's every possibility United will have a weak side out tonight. So I think that has opened up the possibility of Leicester picking something up in that game. Before the rescheduling of the fixtures, I would have agreed with you.
Which is very, very ironic, because the year Blackburn won the title, it was all about, Liverpool, they're going to let Kenny Dalglish win, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. They won in the final day. They did their job professionally. So United aren't being professional. I still see United winning, because Johnny Evans isn't playing. I think that defence without Johnny Evans, they're all over the place.
Yeah, you have to factor in the FA Cup as well at the weekend.
For Leicester, exactly.
Very hard to see them going hard for 90 minutes now. Yeah,
I see United winning, and I see them not playing Johnny Evans and holding on to him for Sunday. Yeah. Chelsea are home and hosed. I mean, they're playing Arsenal, Leicester, and Villa. I see them winning all 3. That puts them on 73 points. So they're in 3rd. So basically, we're talking about 4th here, right? Liverpool, I had them down to win against United, but Kabak is injured and Fabinho will be back there. So that's a draw, and that puts them on 65 points, because I reckon they'll beat West Brom. I think they'll draw against Burnley, the disease themselves. I think
the Ginger Pep.
Who won 2-0 again last night? Ginger Pep, greatest manager.
Ginger Pep.
Of all time.
Greatest manager over the 6 or 8 games that he wants to win every year. Give him that.
That he needs to win. That he needs to win.
Yeah. That'll only hold so far. And down they'll go and they'll never be seen again. And him with them, hopefully. Disease, lads, disease. So I have them beaten. I've them drawn with United, beaten West Brom, drawn with Burnley, and beaten Palace. That's puts them on 65, right? Then we go to Everton. Everton on the moment 55. I see them drawn tonight with Villa. They'll beat Sheffield United. They beat Wolves, and I see City beating them on the last day of the season. That puts them on 62. However, they win them all. They're on 66. That puts them in pole position. Spurs, I have them ended on 60 just for the sake of I did a top 8 here out of, trying to get everything in. So
that Everton City game, where does that fall with respect to the Champions League final? Do you know?
I don't.
It's the week before. It's on the 23rd, and I think actually I don't know when's the Champions League final. 26th or 7th or something, is it?
Yeah.
Or is that the Europa League?
However, City have the even if they draw that puts them on 63.
City could play their 2010 side and still beat Everton at home.
There you go, and they still have their 2010 side because they have the massive squad, right? So my top 4 then is City, United, Chelsea, Liverpool. Possibly Liverpool. Liverpool. If they beat United, have 67. If they don't, 65 in my book, right? And that's still enough to get West Ham on goal difference. Get West Ham are on like minus 20. Liverpool are on plus 20.
So
the narrative of the worst champions ever, that's gone out of the water.
Assuming your predictions.
Excuse me. Oh yeah, assuming all things being equal. But even if they finish 6th, they're still not the worst champions ever.
Well, no, because United finished 7th, didn't they?
Yeah.
So,
there you go.
I mean, I don't imagine Blackburn finished particularly highly after they won the league.
No. So like
or Leicester.
That narrative is wrong. Anyway, for a start, I'd just like to throw that out there. So again, tentatively insofar as Liverpool on 4th, Liverpool versus West Ham, and that's still with like squeaky pants time on fucking the last day of beating Palace, and Palace have a history of screwing with Liverpool.
Who's 5th on your list?
5th on my list is Leicester.
So what is the crunch game then from all the games left?
The crunch game for Liverpool.
For either Liverpool or Leicester. It could be tonight then.
Well, I would suggest that United are probably involved in 2 crunch games as regards that place, because
Leicester and Liverpool. Yeah.
I think if United were to win one of those, I think that could make a huge difference either way. Do you know what I mean?
Also,
if United were to beat Leicester tonight, I mean, I'd go along with Enda. I only see Leicester picking up another two points this season. If they don't get any points tonight, and that might sway it in Liverpool's favour.
I think they'll get a point tonight. And if they did get a point tonight, and what would that do to your table?
To my prediction, put them up now. This is assuming they're beating Spurs on the final day.
Yeah.
Right. So if they it's assuming they're drawn with Spurs on the final day. I think Spurs will have a right go on the final day because that'll put them into Europe if they beat them. So it jumps them up 2 points. Where we Spurs? It jumps them up on the same as Everton, so that puts them into Europe. So Spurs have something to play for on the last day. So I'm talking 65. So that's and then Liverpool's goal difference comes into it then because they have a better goal difference than Leicester as well. So you could have 3 teams on 65 at the end of the season.
Okay, cool. Cheers for that. So you're nailing your colours to the Liverpool mast then.
What else would I do?
Yeah. Shock horror.
Expect nothing less.
Right. We'll have a quick look at the private league that we're in.
Oh, do let's, please.
So
Only a quick look, Alan.
Only a quick look, absolutely. So this is the Bookbreakrs pod, and it's the Bookbreakrs app is basically how we're actually driving this podcast. It's helping us drive awareness of the app.
It's what's paying for it, yeah.
Well, looking at viewership so far, not really, but who knows, that might change. So basically, the Bookbreakrs app is if it's for anyone who's interested in football. If you like playing fantasy football, or if you bet on football, there's something in the app for you. The idea is basically to enjoy football without losing money. So if you are tired of coughing up your hard-earned money to the bookies every weekend, or if you enjoy playing fantasy football, then you should check out the app. So basically, it's a football predictions app. It's a bit like fantasy betting, so it's a bit like placing a bet, but you're doing it with points instead of money. You don't have to deposit any money or anything like that. It's all free, and us three lads are in a private league together. So let's take a look at that. I was leading it last week, and as
What
usual,
a difference a week makes, huh?
I shot my mouth off and I got punished. So there you see it. So the private league. So basically, we've got a paid league. So we all put 20 quid in, and it's a winner take all. So Paul is currently leading. So if he wins the league, which is based only on the Premier League, he'll get the 60 quid. When you set up a private league, you can pick whatever leagues you want. So you could add in La Liga, you can add in Champions League, you could add in whatever you want. You set the start and the end date, so you control the time period. You could run it for a month or a week or a whole season if you want. And those are the standings. So Paul, you're well ahead. The win percentage is quite tight across the three of us. So it is all nip and tuck, and it all changed last night with the Burnley game. So I fancied 2-1 Fulham. Both teams didn't score. It was under 2.5 goals. Fulham lost, and I lost 20 points basically.
Oh, yes.
Paul, you capitalised. You had a really good week last week, plus 49.
The Chelsea result against City really.
Yeah, that hurt me as well. Like, because I 93rd minute I was set. Like, I had it under 2.5 and I had it a draw. So anyway,
yeah,
it's the fine margins, lads, isn't it?
We'll just look at the game last night. So actually, most people did predict a Burnley win. So as I was saying earlier, if you bet on football, what you can do is just throw your prediction into the app. So when you put in your prediction, you unlock the kind of community view or the crowd view, and you can see here that bookmakers were offering 3.5 about Burnley, which is about 5-2. Well, it is 5-2. But based on predictions, the Bookbreakrs community had Burnley priced at 2, which is even money. So if you fancy Burnley and you predicted Burnley, you would then have greater confidence in that, because most people in the app fancied Burnley as well. So that's kind of how it works. Tonight then we have these two games. So we've already talked about these. We've talked about one of them. So again, if you fancy United, you just go in and you click here and you predict United to win, or if you fancy Leicester, click here. Personally, I fancy the draw, guys. I think United have, 3 games in 8 days. I think I can see them resting a few players tonight. Like Solskjaer, I'll say one thing about him: he knows what the derbies are about, and he always gets them up for the City game, and the Liverpool game is probably the biggest game in United season. I don't see him resting players for that. He'll be going hard at that, and if he thought he could prevent Liverpool from getting Champions League, I think he'd probably consider that a trophy. So I think
Alan,
I would anyway.
I'll just pick you up on that point. Like, he knows what the derbies are about. He knows what the derby's about. He sits 2 midfielders in front of his back 4, and he tries not to lose them. So I don't know. I would before
he's
you
had a good record.
You brand him before you brand him a tactical genius, I present you the facts.
Yeah, I think it's yet to be proven if he's a tactical genius, but he definitely has passion for the club, and I think that's why he's able to get them up for these games. Can he do that week in, week out?
I just challenge you on that point, because what getting them up for the game is setting up with 6 behind. That's not getting up for the game. That's being fearful of losing. That's a different thing.
Yeah, I would slightly disagree with that. I think our strengths lie in pace. I think pace is one of our biggest attributes. I think sitting in and inviting teams on us, defending, and then hitting them on the break. I think that's what he's trying to do. I think he's also trying to play to his strengths. Like, I think, I think he's doing what he can with what he's got right now. Maybe that'll change if he gets a few.
I suppose when three of your midfield 5 is Matic, Fred, and McSauce, you have no real choice, have you?
Yeah, I mean,
and the other one is Pogba.
Yeah,
let's not forget here for a second now that there is a very outside chance that United could yet win the Premier League. Let's not be too critical.
Yeah, it's really.
To be honest, like it'd be like.
It'd be better than Aguero.
Than the alternative, than buying it yet again.
Yeah, if you look back at all the points they threw away, like.
And therein lies a massive difference as well between, like, a reasoned view, like. Well, Man United have tried to buy it and they failed. That's laughable, but at least they have some sort of. I'd rather see United winning than City. But geez, if it came down,
it sounds like Liverpool haven't spent any money at all.
I could challenge you on that easily, Alan. 700 million United have spent net in the last since 2013.
That's fake news.
110 million.
That's fake
Liverpool
news.
has spent. Yes, no, these are facts. That's not fake news. It's facts. Oh Lord. No. But going back to so my perspective on that versus the United fans who've come out from under their rock of supporting City for the last 2 years to suddenly go Man United this year. So yeah, some things are different. What can I say? I'm different, maybe.
It just proves that the biggest game is Liverpool United, or the biggest rivalry is Liverpool United.
It's I said this last year. It's all for me. It's all. I live in Manchester, but I'm not from Manchester, and the biggest game for me is always the Liverpool game.
Yeah.
Like I say, even when we were 7th in the table and they were top, and now it's vice versa.
Is that a sign of a small team?
Liverpool,
like you look at most United fans.
Liverpool are a reasonable size.
Liverpool are a reasonable size team.
Just because you're 6th at the minute, you'll be back.
I'll go on with my point when you're finished with your hubris there. Most United fans would look down on Everton as a small team. Everton always get themselves up for a Liverpool game. Now that is a true derby. So and Everton never win anything. But there 2 years ago they got a point. It was like they won the World Cup. They won it again this year when they bet Liverpool. And fair play to them. They have pride. They don't want their noisy neighbours from across the city screwing them over. What do United do? They roll over when City come to town.
Oh, he's a hater, isn't he?
Oh, it's all coming out now. I think Everton might have cost you. He might have cost
2 years
you.
ago. 2 years ago, we were talking about, here, looking at my sheet here, and we're talking just there about how United have a role in the top 4. 2 years ago, they could stop City. They could imagine if your noisy neighbours, as far as Whiskey Nose used to call them, noisy neighbours. You could shut them up. You could screw them in the league. So what did they do? They rolled over at their own patch. That's a disgrace. That's a small team.
No, I agree that we don't want to get into a situation where our season is beating Liverpool. Absolutely not. But
I think that's about where you're at, to be honest. If that's the way you're saying.
Look, it's rivalry.
It's a bonus. It's an added bonus. Yeah.
Okay, right, Paul. We'll jump into your team then. Or sorry, not your team. Your top 4.
My prediction. Yeah. Well, yeah. As Enda said, Chelsea are nailed on for 3rd place, in my opinion. They probably will win their last 3 games. One of those being Leicester. So again, Leicester have United Chelsea and Tottenham, and probably not the run-in they really would have wanted, considering they collapsed last year. But
is it worth just touching on that, like
Leicester's
Potato Head?
collapse?
Yeah, like why has Potato Head not succeeded here?
Fair squad.
Brendan,
Yeah.
I don't know. They had a couple. I mean, they've had some. The Newcastle game was an absolutely disastrous result for them. I mean, they lost away at West Ham and at home to City. Other than that, their results have been pretty good. I think they just had some tricky fixtures at the end of the season.
Fair squad, I think. I mean, Vardy was out for ages. His form has gone off cliff as well.
Exactly, he's not scoring. A lot of their success comes down to Jamie Vardy getting 20-odd goals a season. Iheanacho has kind of stepped up a bit in the last few weeks, but they do concede.
He's a street
goals.
player. He'll get you 5 goals in a row, and then he won't be seen for.
Yeah, and that's generally the issue, I think, with Leicester. They're extremely inconsistent. They're a little more consistent than the likes of Everton, who are also inconsistent. But you could never put your house on them to win a game, because you don't know which Leicester side is going to turn up. And I think it may yet cost them. But when I was looking at the fixtures, like for the run-in for all these teams, I mean, it's nigh on impossible to confidently call the 4th place, because it's not beyond the realms of belief that Spurs win their last 3 games, which are Wolves at home, Villa at home, and Leicester away, which would then put them on 65 points, which is roughly what I'm predicting Liverpool to be on. So, I mean, I don't see West Ham
Goal
really.
difference, though, Paul.
Well,
that's Liverpool's big armory in that, really, isn't it?
If United beat Liverpool 8-0 on Thursday, as I suspect they will, then that'll knock a chunk out.
Oh my God, I'm not low curse.
I mean, really, that is a crucial game, because I see it being a draw purely because United
Spurs
will have had
goal difference
at the moment, do they?
They have a 2-goal better goal difference. They have a game extra played, but yeah.
I mean, it really could go either way. If I had to pick one, I probably would say Liverpool will sneak it. Unfortunately, I have to say Liverpool will sneak it.
You sound like you've got something in your throat there, Paul.
It's difficult for me to admit that I think Liverpool will get it, but it could be very, very close. It will definitely go down to the last day. Yeah. I think if you're going down to the last day and you for the final Champions League place and you've got Crystal Palace at home, I think you should be fairly confident of getting a result. But Leicester, Tottenham,
bogey team.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. That is true, and you're not exactly having the best season, but I mean, there's tricky games in there, away at West Brom and away at Burnley.
Yeah,
they're not gimmies. Do you know what I mean? As bad as West Brom are, and as bad as you think Sean Dyche is, they're not.
I tell you what, if Sean Dyche sees this podcast,
yeah, I'm going to send it. I wonder, is he on Twitter?
You're a disease, Sean Dyche.
Sean Dyche, I want 10 behind the ball.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, City, United, Chelsea, Liverpool, but very, very tentatively on Liverpool, because it could. I mean, if Leicester happened to win their last 3 games, then it's a totally different scenario.
Yeah. So, has Rodgers sacrificed like Champions League thinking he'll get his hands on a trophy?
Well, this is an interesting thing. So I was listening to the radio Talk Sport this morning, and they were doing a poll, and they were doing it last night as well on Talk Sport. A poll of Leicester fans to see what was more important to them: Champions League football or winning the FA Cup. And on both polls that were done last night this morning, the fans went for the FA Cup, which is in many ways good. It's good to see that, because I don't think they've ever won it. So that's the other kind of fly in the ointment for Leicester, I suppose, is that they might not have their full focus on the league.
Yeah.
And like Enda said, I don't think their squad is big enough to maybe push on two fronts. So that'll probably be what cost them in the
West
in
Brom.
the league.
I could see the West Brom game being the fly in the ointment, like Allardyce against a big club and kind of trying to prove his tactical awareness or his but well, he did it already, so I think that could be the fly in the ointment, because I think Palace should be.
They were pathetic last night, though.
Yeah.
Or the last time they played, they were pathetic. Who were they playing?
Yeah, but when you're down, like, the pressure's off then, and I don't know. I have a feeling that could be.
Sheffield United had that going for like 2 games, and now they're back to being crap again. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's, for me, the United game and the Burnley game are the tricky ones for Liverpool. If Liverpool go to Old Trafford and beat United, or if the fans somehow manage to get the game called off and they get handed the 3 points, it swings it the other way. So it's good that there's something left
Something
to
to
fight
watch,
for.
something to be watching for, like,
Yeah.
and
because relegation is decided, that the winners are decided.
Right.
But United could have a big hand to play in it.
Yeah, we've a few minutes left then, so it sounds like you're both going for Liverpool then. So we'll track that over the next few weeks. But let's quickly touch on the FA Cup final. This weekend,
Chelsea win handy.
Yeah, nailed
win
on
handy.
Chelsea.
2-0, 3-0. I mean, like, the quality of the game, whether Leicester will stake in it, will depend on whether Johnny Evans is fit. They're a totally different outfit at the back when he's there. You saw the last game how all over the place they were. Fofana and Sayonsu, like, we were talking about one or two of them in our teams of the year, and we left out Johnny Evans. And when you take out Johnny Evans out of it, both of them were rubbish. So maybe we should have a Johnny Evans in it.
Yeah,
that was last week's podcast, lads. You can look that up on www.
Last week we picked the team of the season, so worth having a quick look at that. But
Carragher had his on last night, and we weren't too far off.
Really? I didn't see that. Who does he have?
He had Sayonsu, or not Sayonsu, not our other buddy, Souček. He had Soufal right back, but pretty much Stones, Diaz.
He has had a good season, actually.
He went for Emi Martinez. Props to Paul there in goal.
Left
back. I think that was Alan's one, actually.
Excuse me?
Oh, was it?
He was on my bench, though.
And Stones. Thank you.
Left back, he went for Shaw, of course. De Bruyne, Fernandez was there. Thank you.
Really?
Son was there. Good man, Paul. Kane, of course. And I was just flicking through it, so I might have missed one or two he had, but we weren't too far off now at all.
So we're about as clever as Jamie Carragher then. That's great.
Hang on, like spit
That's
out.
Kind of depressing.
Someone out the window here.
I think.
See how I'm sitting in the car.
The FA Cup game tactically could be really interesting. Like, Tuchel is strong tactically. I think he's proven that he's beaten.
Yeah, I think he can, like, whatever Leicester put out. I think he'll have the answer. I mean, he proved it against City. Like, they were like, it was shadow boxing. Pep had his B team, Chelsea had his B team, and the next minute, it looked like City were going to run away with it. And the next minute, he came out, he tweaked a few things, and Chelsea were all over them. And he brought on other lads then.
But Rodgers has proven that he's, he likes to parry with the top managers. I think he has that ego problem, and I can see him. I can see it being a very interesting game, and unfortunately, as a result, probably a bit boring. I can see it being very tight.
Chelsea have a lot of irons in the fire at the minute. I mean, that gives Leicester a bit of hope as well. What's more important for Chelsea, the FA Cup, the top 4, or the Champions League final is probably third in their list of priorities, isn't it?
Yeah.
Paul, like, the B team they have versus Leicester's A team, they'll probably beat them anyway. And then you factor in you factor in that their manager is, unlike Frank Lampard, is actually tactically aware. I think they have it all day long, to be honest.
All right, guys. So quickly call it. Enda. Result?
Chelsea.
Chelsea.
2 or 3-0.
Yeah, I'll go the same. Chelsea 2-0, I
Right.
reckon.
I'll go draw and after
Chelsea on
extra,
penalties, yeah.
I'll go Leicester on penalties. Right, just to mix it up a bit.
Just to mix it up, yeah.
All right, guys, we're all done. So thanks for tuning in, everyone. All
12 of you.
12 of you.
9 if you take us out.
Guys, get that internet sorted.
Everyone get your internet sorted. So we'll be back next week again with another topic. Thanks to Enda and Paul, the fountains of reason, for once again proving your reasonableness. And we'll chat to you next week. Cheers.
Laters.
Peace.
Bye.